Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is Mr. Shakespeare here again with you on the 22nd of November, 2023. I'm here with Psychic Medium and remote viewer Liz Cross. How are you doing today, Liz?
Oh, great. We missed you last week, Mr. Shakespeare. Where did you go?
Oh, well, I had a little drive around England, didn't I?
Oh, did you? Were you visiting your old sites?
No, just, just having to have a break, having to, Anyway, so I'm back.
Good job. Okay.
Be careful, though, because I might go away again.
Uh-oh. Don't go away.
Don't go.
Who is
Right.
this?
So we've got we're gonna do a probe into this character, David Cameron. Now, he was a former Prime Minister of the UK. He very famously called for the Brexit
referendum.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot the word for a minute. Yes, he called for the Brexit referendum, which he completely misjudged. He didn't realise that most people in Britain did not want to be part of the European Union. They want to be part of Europe, but not the European Union. And he lost. I think they had to shuffle the votes around, so the vote, so the loss. This is what it's alleged, that the loss wasn't as bad as what it actually was. But anyway, off the back of that, he resigned, which is good, and he went off into the wilderness somewhere. Now, he didn't, because he probably worked for big companies or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, he's back. Now, because he's not in government, they had to make him a lord or something to get into government. So he's now back as the Foreign Secretary, which is very interesting. Why would they want him back? He is a certified failure. He failed, and they want him back. Why? Let's find out.
So who was the Foreign Secretary that he replaced?
God knows, some empty suit. They all are. They're all sock puppets. They're all sock puppets. They do what they're told. As I said to you before, Liz, these people are not order makers. They are order takers. So, the hidden hand, the guiding hand, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, they arrange things and move things around, and these people get to play in their egos on the chessboard. I think it wasn't Suella. No, they fired her. That's a good point.
Why did they fire Suella?
Because she was critical of the Palestinian marches, that the amount of Palestinian marches, I believe, that have been going on in the UK, okay. Pro-Palestine marches. So they got rid of her. And I don't know, actually, that's a point I should have probably looked up. I can't remember who they put in her place. But I think the guy that they put into her place was the Foreign Secretary, I think, which is why there was an opening for the Foreign Secretary. So Cameron now is the new Foreign Secretary, and very interestingly, his first visit was to Kiev.
Oh, okay.
So let's
all
find
right.
out. Can you get a connection with
somebody?
Have you got
yes,
him?
I do. Sorry, I do have a connection. What would you like to know?
Well, I'll ask the same questions I used to ask a lot. How's he doing today?
He's not doing well.
Good.
It's really, you're like, good. It's really a shock to the system being back.
So why did he come back? Surely he was set up for life with his consultancies or private business or something. Why did he come back? Why would he put himself in the firing line again?
He was asked to.
I understand that, but from his point of view, why would he want to come back?
Why would you want to come back? Because Britain needs me. These are his own personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions.
Okay, David. No, they don't. Right. Britain does not need him. Right. Okay. So why does he think? Sorry, I've got to keep professional. Why does he think he was asked to come back?
Why do you think you were asked to come back? Because there was no one else to do the job.
There's nobody in the Rishi Sunak cabinet, no Tory MP, nobody that could do the job. No?
There's nobody in the Richie Sunak. No, not as good as I am, he says.
Okay. I don't think he's ever been foreign secretary before, has he?
Have you ever been foreign secretary before? I feel like he filled in at one point.
Right.
Maybe not for very long, but he certainly is saying to me, I have done the foreign secretary work before. So there's probably, are you saying that there's aspects of it? Yes, he's done aspects of it before.
Right. But I mean, he was prime minister for about 6 years, if I remember, wasn't it, or something like that? Yeah, 10 till
Yeah.
16. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Right. So, why was his first visit? Why did he go to Kiev?
Why did you go to Kiev on your first visit? They needed to cut some deals there.
What kind of deals?
What kind of deals? Weaponry.
As in England are going to supply Ukraine with more weapons?
As in, England are going to supply Ukraine with more weapons? No, Germany is.
Okay, but why then would Cameron have to go and sort that out? Why didn't the German foreign minister go?
Why did you have to go and sort? Because they're funding it.
So the UK are funding German weapons being sent to Ukraine.
So are you funding German weapons being sent to the Ukraine? Yes. So they are, I feel like it's a pool of people or nations that are funding this weaponry, but they're looking at the US right now and seeing what's going on with the US. The Russian-Ukrainian war is still very important to the Europeans, even though he's saying to me the America's eyes are now on Israel Hamas, and they're distracted by that. So we have to ensure that the Ukraine stays funded.
Okay. Why do we have to do that? Sorry.
Why do we have to do that? Because it's the right thing to do for democracy. In his
Okay.
own personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions. These are not mine. These are not Mr. Shakespeare's. Do not write us hate mail in the comments. If you do, you just whatever. But he's saying, we have to keep the momentum going. If there's not funding going into the Ukraine, they will lose the war tomorrow. There's no money there. There's no money. They're completely out of money. Businesses have quite obviously pulled out. They've gone somewhere else. There's no money there.
Okay. So we've got to defend the democracy in Ukraine, have we? Okay. So this will be the same democracy that Zelensky, the president, he's cancelled the elections for next year.
So we
Does
have
he know that? Is he aware of that?
Are you aware that Zelensky's canceled the elections? Yes, he's fully aware and in support of that.
That's the
Why
democracy.
Right.
Really?
Well,
Okay.
but that's wartime democracy, though. I mean, that's nothing
Right.
unusual. Canceling elections during a wartime, that's not unusual.
Well, but okay. All right.
Well, you know that. You know it's not unusual. That
You know,
happens in many nations.
okay. So there's no audit of where the money goes in Ukraine. Ukraine's one of the most corrupt countries on the planet. Most of the money there doesn't go. I mean, it's just been siphoned off. It's known globally as one of the money laundering capital centers of the world. So I'm worried about the fact that he thinks that Britain should give more money, and yet there are people, there are many people in Britain that are homeless, that are many people that are suffering, energy bills and everything. I don't know if he's aware, but most Britons don't care about Ukraine.
Be aware that most British people don't care about the Ukraine. We have to keep fighting with them. We made that commitment. And I feel like this is very egotistical, not just of the, the foreign secretary, but the
Oh
UK.
no, 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 no! This goes way above his pay grade. No, no,
Okay.
there's a big problem in the UK with the UK elites going back many years why they don't like Russia. So, and it's all because Russia wouldn't do. I don't know. It's Crimean War. It was all sorts of different things, but I think one of it was when the Russians kicked out the Bolsheviks or something, and the Britain didn't like that because they were instrumental in them getting there. So there's a real problem. This goes way above Cameron and way above, the current government and everything. But as I said, these people are minions. They are told what to do and how to do it. Yeah.
And they don't want to back down. They want to prove, they put their word behind the Ukraine, right? And so Ukraine's defeat is also their defeat.
Well, yes, okay, I would agree with that to a point. Ukraine's defeat is also NATO's defeat because Britain is not at war with Russia, nor is America. Nobody's officially at war with Russia. So, you say about wartime economies, no one. Congress has not declared war on Russia. The British Parliament has not declared war on Russia. No European nation has declared war on Russia. And yet
No,
everybody's, you know.
no, sorry, but they're not physically at war.
Yeah, but war is a legal term. You have to declare war. You have to actually, Congress is the only people. I mean, Biden can't declare war. Congress has to declare war on another country. They have, it has to be an act of Congress. It's in your constitution.
Yes, that's true. But if you're backdoor funding the war, somebody else's war, you're still at war.
Well, you're at war by proxy, so
Right.
they're using the Ukraine, who they don't care about, as proxies to be at war with Russia because obviously they want all the minerals, goods, everything that Russia's got untapped, has got untold. It's a huge country; it's the biggest landmass in the world. They've always wanted to split Russia up, and so they come up with all these things. It's this is not new. This is not new. They've tried it before.
So they're at war by proxy. Let me ask him, do you realize you're at war by proxy? Yes, we fully understand that. Exactly. See, there you go. So
Well,
they want to keep funding because basically they're allowing the Ukraine, or via the Ukraine, these nations are at war with Russia.
well, yeah. Okay.
They
But
don't like war.
they will not admit they're at war with the Ukraine. They don't say they're at war. Ukraine is at war, they say, with Russia, and we're supporting Ukraine. So, you have to actually declare war. There has been no declaration of war by the United Kingdom or any other country, as far as I'm aware, you know? And
Mhm.
if we were at war, why don't we send English troops there? If America was at war, why don't they send American troops there?
Well, let's
They
ask.
don't.
Why
Well,
why are you not sending English troops to, or British troops to the region? It's too dangerous. Too dangerous. It's allowing the Ukraine to take the bloodshed.
yeah. And that's the
You
truth.
see how this works? You
Oh,
see?
I know exactly how it works, Liz.
I know you do, but everybody listening, it's just so smoke and mirrors all the time.
They are fighting to the last Ukrainian. I mean, I feel sorry for Ukraine. I really do. Um, there was a peace deal on the table last year that was scuppered by America and by England. Zelensky was ready to have peace with Russia, but they told him they couldn't do it.
Let's
So
ask him. Let's ask him. Did you realize that there was a peace deal on the table? Last year. Were you aware of that? Yeah, fully aware. In fact, they, they were reviewing it. So why did you not back the peace deal? No, because we wanted to prove a point.
No, well, okay. They want to prove they want war. Don't forget, you know. You have to understand that war is the financial system globally is in a mess. You know, war is the biggest creator of debt on the planet, you know. Um, General Smedley Butler learnt that many years ago, and he wrote a book about it. He realized he was being used as a patsy to get involved in wars to help the economic. I mean, you know, they would like a war for many reasons. There are many factions, the neocons, neolibs, and things like that. It's not that he's the best at what there is. He probably will do very good at what he's told, you know. But no one cares whether he's back in Parliament or not. No one cares about him. They didn't at the time. They told him that. That's why he had to resign. You know, he
Let's
called
ask
it.
him. Let's ask him. Do you think people have confidence in your ability? No, he knows that. He's saying to me, no. Why do you think people? He goes, I have to regain the confidence of the people. But surely you were set for life. You didn't need to come back to work. He says, I'm aware of that. And I'm saying, so why did you? He says, because they need my help. So he believes this is a calling. He doesn't need the money, he doesn't need the publicity, but he believes that this is a calling. It's just at the right time. I'm glad to be called back and serve my country. So that's how he's perceiving it.
Okay, well, yeah, all right. I mean, I
And
can.
fault that. You can't.
Well, I can, but I can't. No, but on the other hand,
Well,
I
you can, but right. I know.
well, no, I can't fault if that's what he believes and that's his words, thoughts, and opinions. That's what he believes, but he's deluded. You know,
Do
he
you
does. I
let's
mean,
ask him. Let's ask him. Do you believe that's a deluded or a flawed opinion of yourself? No, no. He's actually become a bit more religious as
I
well
see.
because he just held the Bible up to his chest and he says, no, this is my calling.
Oh my God. Oh God. Okay, put him out of here, please.
Oh, has he? Okay, I'll put him out of here. Have you become the Archbishop of Canterbury? No. All right. Let's go November 22nd, November 22nd, 2024, 2024, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What would you like to know?
Is he still the secretary, the foreign secretary?
Are you still the Foreign Secretary? Yes, he is, and I'm doing a bloody good job.
Oh, okay. And what makes him think he's done a bloody good job? What has he done? What has he achieved?
Well, he now is telling me that he sees Rishi as very weak.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I
He's
agree with that.
having to coach Rishi a lot. He
Okay, I
really
could understand. Yeah, I could understand that as well. Yeah. Okay.
he's having to guide him and he's having to support him. I feel like 2024 has been tough for Rishi. Okay. He has received a lot of backlash. A lot of the public are turning. Labor is gaining votes and confidence. And now they're trying to hold on to it. So this is where you see David Cameron's importance coming
So
in
this is
to
the
play.
real important. Yeah, this is the real
Yeah.
importance is to shroud and cover and cajole or whatever you want to call it. Guide Sunak because Sunak is weak. We know that. No one voted for him. He was, I mean, nobody voted. They voted for Boris Johnson, but they never voted for him. Um, so yeah, well, this is what I said beforehand. They're putting a glove around him in the same way as Blair is going around Starmer. They need these people. You can't deny. I mean, he has got experience. He was prime minister for many years, so he does have gravitas in that department. Don't deny it for one bit. Um, but that's why you see what I mean. It's the puppet masters. They're moving the things in place. Has there not been a general election in the UK? Obviously not.
Has there not been a general election? No, they're trying to hold on as long as they can.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think it's is it by 2025 there has to be an election? I'm not sure. Um,
Uh, by 2025, I feel like it's really close.
okay.
I feel like it's really close. And Labor are gaining ground. Okay,
Yeah,
it's
but
neck and neck.
yeah, I mean, it's the same in the US though. It's like the Uniparty. I mean, if anybody believes that Labour will be any better, that they won't. I mean, Starmer is a pro EU guy, and he will do exactly as he's told. And with Blair behind him, guiding him, looking after him and all that lot. Um, yeah, okay. Right. What's happened in Ukraine since he went to Ukraine? We're a year later. What's happened out there? Has he been back?
We've been back to the Ukraine several times, several times.
Is this to make sure everybody keeps on message, or is it more to do with armaments, or is it to do with money going to Ukraine, or is it what is it?
Is it to do? Why have you gone back? Is it to do with money? They're trying to. They realize that Russia is not going to stop. Okay, they've come to the realization that the strategy is we will just bleed the Ukraine dry. They will eventually run out of money and they will have to surrender. And at this point, he understands that Ukraine are losing. Okay. He
Mm,
understands that there's no saving the Ukraine.
true, and I mean that's true today, but obviously he doesn't know that. Most geopolitical analysts, who keep their finger on the pulse, can tell you that's been the case for a while. Has he been involved in anything in the Middle East?
Not so much. He's saying I'm leaving that to the Americans.
Okay, but obviously, okay. Has he been involved in anything else in the world anywhere apart from Ukraine or the Middle East?
Have you been involved in anything else in the world apart from the UK? Yes, he's been doing a lot of negotiation with China.
Okay, what kind of negotiation? For what?
What kind of negotiation? This is more like business deals, as in movement of goods, tax implications. You know, the UK are very dependent upon Chinese goods as well.
Absolutely. So
Car
they're not
manufacturing, car parts being manufactured, making sure that China is up to speed. Are you still going ahead with this net zero? No, that's been taken off the table for now.
good. Okay. Um, okay. So they're not trying to cancel China out or, not trade or put sanctions on them, because obviously the sanctions they put on Russia has made Russia stronger than ever. So, I mean, they're not trying that route with China then, obviously.
Do you believe the sanctions put on Russia has worked? No, been a total failure. The sanctions on Russia. Russians are still doing business, but they're doing it very clever. They have removed their names off of the businesses. They have put in, proxy people in place, so it doesn't look like there's Russians doing business, but they're still doing business.
Well, they've had to. I mean, there's an element of, necessity is the mother of invention. If you prevent people from doing things, they're going to work around it, aren't they? So, yeah, no, the Russian economy has been doing very well. It's one of the strongest now. Okay. All right. What else do we need to ask him? Actually, let's pop him out another year. Let's
Oh
go for.
dear. Okay. Don't have me calling any elections because I'm too emotionally involved in them.
Yeah, no, I just want to know. Well, no, I'm just want to know if he's still foreign secretary.
Okay. Well, that's come on. That's like, are you still foreign secretary? No, that means we've had an election
No, it
the
doesn't. No, Liz, it does not necessarily mean we've had an election. It could mean that the prime minister fired him and put somebody else in. Doesn't necessarily mean that he was not that he's not there because there's been an election.
I don't feel that Rishi fired Suella directly.
Okay.
I feel that whoever's in charge there, there's a group of them,
Yeah.
and this is about saving their own political skin, so they had to get rid of her.
Right.
Okay, so let's go November 22nd, 2025, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What would you like to know? He's in bed.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to know. I just wanted to know whether he was foreign secretary still or not.
Are you still foreign secretary? Are you still foreign secretary in 2025? He's not really answering me. Are you still foreign secretary in 2025? He is not.
Okay. Is he in another position in the cabinet?
Are you in another position in the cabinet? Yes, I feel like he's going back for possibly MP.
Yeah, but that's not in the cabinet. He can be an MP without being in the cabinet. So. Cabinet means he's one of the ministers, Home
Right.
Secretary, Foreign Secretary, Secretary of Defence, those type of things. Whereas an MP can be, he could still be an MP. Yeah, okay, but he's not in the cabinet.
No. Has Labor. I feel like it's a, what is it when it's called, when it's equal, almost equal power, neck and neck, and both parties are in control. I've seen that before in the UK when I lived there.
Well,
What is it called?
sharing, yeah. I mean, he shared with David Clegg for a while, didn't he? I
Yes,
believe wasn't it when Nick? Sorry, not Nick, not David Clegg. Nick Clegg.
Nick
He
Clegg.
was the lead. Yeah, Nick Clegg. He was the leader of the Liberal Democrats, and I think, yeah, he was deputy prime minister, and they supposedly ran it together. But I still think it was more Cameron than Clegg. But anyway, yeah, Cameron and Clegg. Yeah, I remember.
I
Okay.
think we're back in that situation. Okay. Now,
Right. But notice, Liz, I did not ask you whether there was a general election and who won.
no, please don't, because I'm interested in those things. Um, but I feel like this is a two-party government, as in running the show. I feel like it's neck and neck. I feel like the UK, what information I'm reading here is is going a lot like the USA. You're starting to see this polarization, okay? And going forward in the UK, I feel like it's going to get more of a polarization. And it just feels like it's a locked government. So it doesn't feel like many things are taking place. When you have a locked government like that, you can't, it's very difficult to do anything.
Right. Okay.
How's the UK economy? It's terrible. The UK economy in 2025, has it recovered from COVID? No, it's still struggling to keep up. So here's what he's saying to me. The UK are still continuing to raise taxes, okay, because obviously the government expenditure has gone up, continued to rise, but wages have not. So they still have to recoup their expenditure. They have to recoup that money. They can't go bankrupt. And
But what has the government been spending its money on then this past year or so? Sorry, what has its money? Rephrase that. What has government been spending money on the past year or so? I mean, why?
they've sent a lot of money to foreign countries. Ukraine,
Good. No, that's good.
they've sent a lot of money.
That's
So
exactly exactly what the British voter wants to hear. We've been funding wars. We've been funding other countries.
well, but okay, let's just, there's sarcasm in that statement.
Really? Oh, sorry, Liz.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. Sometimes people get like really offended, and they don't understand the British sense of humor. And for those of you out there that have had a sense of humor bypass, I'm very sorry for you.
You do realise, Liz, I tone this down big time.
I know you do. I know you do, because we do have a world audience, and it's not to be insulting, but some people genuinely do not get the British sense of humor. They just, you can see it in the comments, right? And it's like, oh, okay.
But no, but think about it from a logical point of view. Most humor is based on truth. In fact, all humor is based on truth, right? If you were to ask the average British voter, you know, are you happy sending money? You know, let's say that you live in a municipal housing, council housing, you have no money and everything else, and you ask them if they are happy, you know, sending money to Ukraine or other places. What do you think they would say? They say no, they're not interested. People always look after their own interest first, you know, and most people would say, spend money at home. Our roads are bad, our this is bad, our health service is wrecked. They are not interested in Ukraine or anywhere else when it comes to this. You know, these people are, because the controllers make them, you know, and they're rich enough not to be affected by any of it. Yeah, it doesn't affect Cameron and people like that. Richie Sunak, you know, they don't get affected by the price of gas or kilowatt hours going up. But the average guy in the street does. And, you know, my sarcasm is there, but it's real. People are not interested in funding foreign situations. They're not interested in any of it, you know? I mean, this is the problem. You know, we're having to put the taxes up to pay. I mean, people don't care. You know, they're not interested. And this is the problem. The Uni Party, same in America, you know, they have these things and they do all this stuff and they spend money, you know, willy-nilly. And then the taxpayers, you know, the population who never get consulted on any of this, you know, if they were to do an online referendum, you know, please vote for either spending money on Ukraine or your local hospital, what do you think people would do? You know, they are not interested. I mean, you know, I'm picking up on vibes, you know, when I travel around the country, if I speak to people, you know, they're not interested. They tell about the roads, the potholes, the fact that their local doctor, they have to wait 6 years to get an appointment, and all these things. You know, it's not first on their mind, or let's send more money to Ukraine. No one talks about that. No one. I mean, the machine, the publicity machine, which is the mainstream media, which has got nothing to do with the public anymore, you know, they're told to do that, so they keep pumping out the stories. It's falling on deaf ears, I can tell you. No one cares. They don't care now. God knows what it'll be like in 2 years' time.
Well, Mr. Shakespeare has spoken. No, you're right. You're right. And a lot of people think that, you know, they look at the NHS through rose tinted glasses. I know the truth. You know the
truth. But even in America, do you think Americans, you know, who are paying higher prices and higher mortgage, I mean, do you think they want all their money going? You know, and America is a much, much bigger economy than the UK, you know, and has the advantage of, you know, its own central bank printing money department in the Federal Reserve. But even so, you know, would they rather have money extra in their pocket, or do they want to have money sent to Ukraine? Or anywhere else for that matter? I'm picking on Ukraine, but I mean, you know, that's one of the major money back things that have been, as money's gone out. I mean, they're just, you know, the people in the street do not care, you know.
No. Well, not right now. Not right now. There's no.
I don't think they ever cared. I think it was all whipped up frenzy in the press, you know. I mean, and there's a lot of people who, in the beginning, virtue signaled by putting Ukrainian flags out and places like that. I've been to Ukraine, you know. I've been there many years ago. I've been to Russia. I've been to Ukraine. I've been to all the eastern places. Ukrainian, I couldn't tell the difference between Ukrainian and Russians when I went there. There was no difference. They're all Slavs, you know. Well, now, I can understand why, you know, the biggest place that the Ukrainian people, you know, there's a lot of people who've left Ukraine. One of the biggest places that Ukrainians have left for is Russia. They speak the same language. Well, okay, now Ukrainian is a newish language that they're trying to force people to do. You know, even their own president spoke Russian for years. I mean, he had to learn Ukrainian. And apparently, so people say, he doesn't speak it that well. I don't know. I don't speak either. But,
Well,
but no,
yeah.
I know I can't make a comment on that because I don't speak Ukrainian. But what I'm saying is they're funding all of these things. They're funding all these wars and everything. But there's a big saying: charity starts at home. You know, if you've got all this extra money, spend it at home. This is the contempt they hold their people in. They don't care. Politicians, they just don't care. They only care about anything when they're going to get elected. That's when you see the politicians at their best, you know, when they're salesmen for themselves. You watch next year in the American election, how things change. You know, people come out and say all sorts of stuff.
Oh,
You
I
know?
know. I know.
I mean, you have your election date in November next year. You know, a month from now, we'll be, well, it'll already been over, but, you know.
I'm not going to call it.
No, I'm not going to ask you, but I'll ask you different questions. Obviously, you know, asymmetrical questions, and then of course we get comments. Well, why doesn't he ask him more questions? And because I know, I mean, we've done hundreds of readings together, so you know, I know what you are and not and don't want to get involved in. And obviously, you know, there's no point going down road and trying to find dead ends where there aren't any, or putting dead ends where there are. If that makes sense. No, it probably doesn't.
That's exactly right. All right. Well, Mr. Shakespeare's back full throttle, as you all can see, and we'll stop this one here. Thank you, Mr. Shakespeare.